documentary will provide you a fresh look at how health and longevity can be maintained and how you can make a difference for yourself, your family, and the world. I think you've all seen some representation of the water cycle. Water evaporates from lakes, rivers, oceans, and now from man-made uses back up into the atmosphere and then condenses and falls back to Earth as rain. The great cycle of water and how water gets purified by the Earth. So in each step, man has an impact on the environment. Let's talk about one specific impact. How many of you out there drink bottled water? Almost everyone these days. Many of us recycle those bottles. You do recycle, don't you? We must raise up our commitment to minimizing our environmental impact by reducing waste, going green, and recycling. The environmental impact of bottled water is threefold: plastic waste in the environment, energy and oil consumption, and the impact on local communities. Plastic is in our environment in so many places. What happens to those water bottles? Well, some of them get recycled, almost 9%. What happens to the other 91%? Well, many of those wind up buried in landfills, where they'll remain for a couple of billion years, give or take. Some end up as litter, having been tossed out of the car window or thrown on the ground or dropped on the side of a trail. And these bottles wind up sitting in fields on the sides of roads, and many get washed into lakes and rivers. The bottles then slowly find their way down sewers to streams and rivers, along with tons of other plastic trash, and end up in the oceans. This plastic litter is entering the environment at an alarming rate and causing all kinds of havoc with our oceans. Since the plastic bottles and bits of plastic float, not sinking to the bottom of the ocean, they remain in the water indefinitely. As they float, they slowly break down into very small pieces. These pieces concentrate in the ocean through the actions of the normal currents. This is the North Pacific Gyre. A gyre is a normal current that forms a gentle whirlpool. The one up here by the U.S. and Canada now covers an area 4 times the size of Texas. Plankton is tiny plants and animals that form the basis of the food chain in our oceans. There is 6 times more plastic in these areas than the plankton. And these little pieces of plastic are being eaten by the next little creatures, which then become starved for food and expire. Seabirds are picking up plastic as it mimics their food, which then gets stuck in their digestive tract, causing the birds to die. Larger animals are finding it harder and harder to get nourishment. Studies on plankton-eating sea mammals are now just coming out, and massive impacts to plankton-eating whales have just been reported. We expect a crash in the fisheries not just from overfishing, but from the replacement of the food chain with bits of plastic. This plastic trash is one reason we want to eliminate bottled water. In many cases, bottled water is more expensive than gasoline. Part of that reason is that to make and transport bottled water from its source, for example, Fiji, to you, it takes significant amounts of fuel. A typical 6-pack of liter bottles takes 2 liters of crude oil to produce and ship. Yes, it takes that much oil to produce that bottled water and get it to you. I hope those points make you consider bottled water as an environmental disaster. Let's make a commitment to the environment and to minimize our use of disposable bottles and plastics. I mentioned Fiji a minute ago. Fiji is the United States' #2 source for imported bottled water. This actually was one of my favorites for drinking waters. So Fiji, a country the size of Connecticut, halfway around the world, is sending the U.S. 250,000 liters of water per year. Families and children right in Fiji are suffering with no access to clean water. Bottled water is 1,000 times more expensive than tap water and mostly acidic. Plus, 1 in 3 bottles tested was contaminated. Hydration is fundamental to health and well-being. If you look at the way the body is designed, we're 75% water, and water has an active part in every cellular function. Just like a plant will wilt and possibly die when it doesn't have enough water, we wilt when we're dehydrated. As acid builds up in the brain, joints, and tissues, cellular damage begins to occur rapidly. Connective tissue is broken down. Proteins aren't built. Even good food and nutrients aren't properly taken into the body. Just ask anyone who gets migraines what happens to the brain when they're dehydrated. So how does this disease progress? A disease we can call chronic dehydration? Well, when we're born, we're like nice, juicy grapes. And as we age, we get more and more like a raisin. Our bodies move from hydrated to dehydrated. A baby is nearly 95% water. An adult is 75%. And as age and illness take effect, the body's hydration drops to 60%. Medical journals consistently state that hydration and an alkaline diet are the 2 primary keys to health and longevity. When someone is rushed to the ER, the doctors immediately order an IV to rehydrate the patient. Let's not go to the ER for our hydration. Toxins, cancers, telomerase reduction, and cellular death can all be minimized by proper hydration. What I'm saying here is not that water can cure you, but that when toxins are eliminated, the body is clean and then heals itself. Dr. Otto Warburg, another Nobel Prize winner, showed that disease and cancer cannot live in an alkaline environment. So no wonder disease and aging are related to dehydration and acidity. When there is an overload and not all of the acids are able to be carried through the digestive system, the body will store them in fat cells instead. See, this is the body's way of keeping the acids from harming vital organs and usually results in weight gain. So as the body becomes more acidic, it tries to hold on to fat to buffer the acidity and toxins. So yes, many people are fat from overacidity and dehydration. The body also buffers this acid by leaching calcium from the bones and stealing minerals from other processes.